Let's do that again. Ah, yes. Good morning. The Brothers Pool seem to be having some fire brewing, or are they just messing with us? I don't know. We're going to find out, or at least I'm going to get what you think after I show you what I'm talking about. Plus, we have the headlines of the day, and we got lots of news about the corona apocalypse, and, plus, hey, it's Rachel Maddow's birthday. I think we should give Rachel Maddow a birthday present, but I'll let you all decide on the Morning Night Live after the intro. See you in a couple. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. Wait, speaking of music, I'm going to have music today. Okay, there it is. How are we doing this morning? Welcome to Morning Night Live on this beautiful April 1st, 2020. It's hump day, and just don't let the people fool you. I just don't know what to think of this story. I gotta be honest with you. I saw this early this morning, and I was on my way to work, and I sent it over to the Monk, aka Ranting Monkey, because he was doing Monkey in the morning at the time, and I didn't even think about it being April 1st, but I don't think what I'm going to show you in a little bit here is necessarily a joke. In fact, I don't think it's a joke at all. Otherwise, it would have had to have been in the planning for a while. So anyway, ooh, that got really loud. Okay, not too bad. All right, so anyway, the Pool brothers, Tim Pool, everyone's favorite. How do I describe Tim Pool? Tim Pool is everyone's favorite liberal who only talks about uses conservative sources, and I don't know. But anyway, Tim Pool and his brother Chris are having a little feud. I know this is internet drama, which I don't usually do internet drama, but I just found this fascinating. So Tim Pool's brother this morning, 10 hours ago. Well, not 10 hours ago. Was it 10 hours ago? When did he put this up? It couldn't have been 10 hours ago. I guess it was last night that he did this. So it's probably not an April Fool's joke. But anyway, Tim Pool's brother, Chris, posted this last night. He put up an in-depth video on his YouTube channel, which is coming soon. Chris says, in 2015, I started a business by myself called Subverse. Now, if you're not familiar with Subverse, that would be Tim Pool's news site. And anyway, last year, my brother, Tim Pool, and Emily Molly stole this business and social media accounts from me. To this day, they still lie about being the founders. And here's the proof. So here's a little clip of Tim Pool, 40 seconds talking about that. Here we go.
The website that we have, subverse.net, it's active. It's been active for years. But I shifted to producing YouTube videos because, admittedly, launching a website is something I'm not I don't necessarily have the expertise. But we have been running the site for years. Our oldest article goes back 4 years, to which my brother, Chris, you know him as Reactor on YouTube if you follow Reactor. We've got articles going back. We used to generate a couple 100,000 unique impressions per month before I actually, came in, because my brother launched this by himself. We launched Subverse, the YouTube channel, a while ago. We used to have a bunch of other videos that we actually have privated because they, we changed the brand, made it streamlined.
Okay, so that's Tim Pool talking about his brother starting the site. He continues, they even went as far as lying to investors about being founders when they raised $1.2 million. Holy shit. I didn't know Tim Pool had I didn't realize Tim Pool's guns were that big. Anyway, $1.2 million from crowdfund investment. So they raised a lot of money for this. He continues, Tim had no problem admitting that I'm the sole founder of Subverse until Bill Ottoman of Minds.com offered him $100,000 to replace me. On June 5th, 2019, Tim, Emily, and Bill locked me out of my YouTube channel and Twitter account and then reincorporated it without me in Connecticut. So here's that 28 seconds of video.
Just because he's had, other people, that's the point I'm trying to make, right?
Sure.
Subverse is a bunch of things. My brother does work. My brother's got 90,000 subs. He exists. He has rights to the trademark. Just because I'm bigger doesn't change that.
Right.
Because quite honestly, Subverse is 99% just me. I'm sorry, that's unfair. My brother started it, but my brother is doing his record channel and he's coding some video game. He's absolutely involved and he maintains the website and other social media network stuff. Just because he's had other people that's the
Okay, so anyway, despite making over $150,000 per month from YouTube, say what? Tim Pool makes $150,000 per month. Is that how big his Patreon is or whatever he does? Holy shit. Holy shit. I need to spend more time just making little videos reading news articles. The funny thing is too, Tim's an interesting character. Tim says he's this liberal, but have you ever really heard him have an opinion that's good about liberals? Now, granted, he does say he supports Bernie Sanders, and but I don't know. I'll listen to Tim Pool occasionally read articles, but usually by the time he reads them on his site, I've already read them. Because most of his sources are Daily Caller, Daily Wire, Newsbusters, all the stuff that I use. So I'm like, well, I've already seen this, so I don't necessarily need to hear you repeat the article. But $150,000 a month? Oh my God. Anyways, despite making over $150,000 per month from YouTube, Tim has still decided money was more important than blood and left me broke and homeless. What? That's interesting. Then he threatened to kick me out of his house and leave me stranded on the East Coast if I went public about this. So here's what he says for that.
Okay, so here's where it all comes together. The point of this video, it's not just to rant about these two news issues that I don't think were covered well enough, but to point out that I don't think it's being covered well enough. That's why I have a website. It's called subverse.net, and my brother put it together, and then I started working with him on it a few months ago. And we had a bunch of viral articles, actually. A lot of it was just kind of trivia and interesting facts, science. Then we started working with Sandra Fairbanks, who is, she writes now for Big League Politics. She was
I'm not sure why he did that anyway. He says, I learned a valuable lesson for blindly trusting my own brother. What I realized after it was too late. Okay. And was that Emily had changed my Subverse social media accounts to have her personal email instead of mine. So it says, if you read my GoFundMe and were wondering who I was talking about, yeah, it's my own brother. So this is when he did a GoFundMe. Let's take a quick look at that. I need help with legal fees, he says. And he wears apparently the brother has a hat like Tim does, but although Tim never takes his off because he's bald. I'm sure Chris is too. Hey everyone, my name is Christopher Poole. Some of you may know of me because I play a character called Reactor on my YouTube channel by the same name. He has a lot of subs there. Long story short, I need your help with legal fees so I can begin a lawsuit. Long story short, 2015, I started a business brand. Sometime later, after some mild success, I agreed to let someone I know join in and help me grow the business. I then agreed to let that person's friend join us. As it turns out, these were some of the worst decisions I've made in my entire life. I failed to protect myself because I never would have imagined this person would do anything to hurt me. Wow, he's talking about his brother here. Because of this, I gave them access to the email and social media accounts of the business. They had access. Once they had access, they took control and then created a new corporation using the same name and logo. The only difference between the business I created and the new one was that I wasn't an owner and a wealthy investor was. Basically, two people that I had trusted with my business now own the new corporation with the wealthy investor. Now he goes on and on and on here. This was created, what's the date here? Created February 5th, 2020. So just a little over a month ago, he created this. And then finally he says, I've been convincing myself not to tell anyone he did this because even after it all, I still feel bad that it could hurt him, but I'm tired of apologizing to him for getting blood on his hands after he stabbed me in the back. Now, I'm fascinated by this for a couple reasons. One, if Tim did actually do this, let's say he did this, and Tim brought in his name, brought in all the business, him and Emily did most of the work. Should they have paid Chris to get him out? Probably. In fact, I'm sure that that's what's going to happen if this goes to a lawsuit into court. They're going to settle some way that gives Chris some money out of it. But I don't know if... There you go. Becca, you're just reading my mind. You're just reading my mind. I've read what you just... Airing their BS isn't going to help either side in a lawsuit. This can be twisted and hurt both. So yeah, but I also found... Now, I found this because... How did I find this? I think Jeff Holiday was the one who retweeted this, and it's the reason I found it. And there's a lot of people out there who cannot stand Tim Pool. I am ambivalent towards Tim. I think he does a lot of work, and a lot of people like him, and more power to him. I'm glad he's making a lot of money doing what he's doing. And does he necessarily contribute a lot to the conversation? Not necessarily, but he at least he's very good at reading. And sometimes I think the old, I'm a liberal, but I'm reading articles from only conservative publications. Somehow that, I know a lot of people like to call him a grifter. I don't necessarily want to call him a grifter, but I just want to go, let's just say he knows where the money is. I don't really know what to think of Tim. I don't really care that much, but I found this fascinating because Tim's a very, very high profile person on the internet, and especially in the YouTube world, the YouTube commentary world. So fascinating story. Now here's the other part. I thought maybe, just maybe, this could have been an elaborate April Fool's joke. After reading it, and then I went to work, and I'm thinking, is that just some April Fool's shit going on? I don't think so. I think this is all real, and I think somehow the shit's gonna hit the fan between these two. We'll see what happens. Anyway, all right, let's say good morning to everybody. Before I move on, I got a few headlines that we'll check out, and obviously plenty of coronavirus news, which I'm going to try. I wish I could avoid like the plague, but I'm not. First of all, let's say good morning to Midnight in Exile, who's here first and gets the bell. Thank you for being here. Also, good morning, Sheograph. Hello, bigots. Ricky Ravioli, all you need. Tyler F. Becca Farley. Thank you, Becca, for tweeting out the show. By the way, there's y'all retweet Becca this morning. I'm going to put her tweet. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, that's it. Oh, no, that's not it. Hang on. I was trying to retweet Becca Farley because Becca Farley had my show out on Twitter before I did, like she does quite often. There you go. Everyone can retweet Becca. I just put it in the chat. Also, good morning to Richo, Mike Savage, Advocatus Diaboli, Zero the Hero, Gunfox61, Jay Wolf, Sean, Peter Allman. Hey, my friend Peter from across the pond. Attack Alpaca, Jay Wolf, Grillin' Pirate Pete, and I think I got, Rolling Bears here. Good morning. Have I missed anybody? Maniac Man, good morning. And I think I'm close. Smarty Bear, what's up? And I'm scrolling. Keep that chatter scrolling. Keep it doggy rolling. Right. Okay, there we go. I think that's everyone that's in the chat. Also, if you're just there lurking, working, driving, thriving. I should write a song, right? But hey, good morning to you all. All right, let's look, I've been feeling kind of bad. Gunfox, the prolific sender of the emails in the daily news, I have been a little bit behind on some of the stuff Gunfox has. And I see, oh, good. Gunfox sent me some Florida man stories. Again, reminder for Friday. Friday is the 300th. So, good morning, MC.
Hammer time.
Friday show is the 300th episode. Also, it's the 600 subscriber special. Also, it's my birthday show. So, just a reminder, come here Friday for the birthday show. I took a little poll yesterday, whether or not I should just have some guests or I should do call in. And I think I'm going to do a kind of a combination. There's a few people I sent out invitations to be guests, but I also think, I might just have some random people come on. Just come to the Friday show. And also, I'm asking you to send Florida man stories. I'm going to stick with, on Friday, it's going to be a fun show. If you have a funny Florida man story you've seen, please send it. I see that, wait, what's going on here? Okay, anyway, there's something in my email that was kind of weird. So send me Florida man stories. You can send them at the PDK News hashtag on Twitter, or you can send them to me to my email, which is, well, see that down there, right down there. It says Twitter Minds of Gab at PDawg Night. Don't send them to Minds of Gabs. If you're not on Twitter, you can send them to me my email, which is, put that at on the other side, pdawgnight@gmail.com. All right. So I see Gunfox has sent me several Florida man stories, so that's cool. I'll be using those. In fact, on Friday, I'm going to use Gunfox's Florida man stories first, because I know I've been neglecting the emails, and I'm just there's just so much. There's so much stuff going on in the world. It's so overwhelming, and I have so many good sources for stories, but Gunfox has been just prolific, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you sending me stuff. Some of the stuff is stuff I already had and whatnot, but definitely going to use the Florida man stories on Friday. Gunfox, thank you so much for doing that. And all of you who send stories, all of you who tweet the show out, all of you who do super chats and all that stuff, and just those of you who show up all the time, I have to thank you again and again and again. And also thank you Tyler F. and Jay Wolf, who retweeted the tweet. The tweet of the tweet, and I don't know which tweet of the tweet you tweeted. You retweeted my tweet of the tweet, which is that's fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into some of today's headlines. So it's kind of, this whole thing with the president and the coronavirus thing. A lot of people like to bring up things that the president said in the past about the whole coronavirus thing. And one of the ones that seems to be popping up a lot in the last couple of days, when President Trump tweeted something to the effect, well, here, let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Oh, here's what he tweeted on March 9th. Okay, March 9th, he tweeted the words on Twitter. So last year, 37,000 Americans died from the common flu. It averages between 27,000 and 70,000 per year. Nothing is shut down. Life and the economy are go on. At this moment, there are 546 confirmed cases of coronavirus with 22 deaths. Think about that. A lot of people throwing that tweet up today. And also the February 24th tweet, where he says that China is doing everything they can do to contain the coronavirus, and they're doing their best, and they're doing a good job at the time, because that's what you do at the time. And even the Daily Caller did a story, and a quote with this head time: Trump finally abandoned saying coronavirus is not as deadly as seasonal flu. And there's another, who is it? Or another headline, Trump reverses position on Chinese coronavirus. Not like the flu, it's vicious. Okay. So I'm over here on Ace of Spades, and but you know, if you think about it, I'm just going to read what what's his name, J.J. Sefton wrote about this interesting thing that people keep throwing all this up, and another reason I talk about this is because now Nancy Pelosi's doing some Monday morning quarterbacking, saying that, well, when did Trump know? He should have known. He should have done this and that. Of course, Nancy Pelosi was traipsing around Chinatown late in February as if nothing was going on. So it's not like nobody in Congress was informed about anything either. So, but here in PJ Media today, Matt Margolis writes, earlier this month, Dr. Anthony Fauci estimated that the mortality rate of the coronavirus was about 2%. If you look at the cases that have come to the attention of the medical authorities in China, and you just do the math is about 2%. The World Health Organization estimated a 3.4% mortality rate. President Trump endured a lot of criticism for saying that he had a hunch that the WHO's estimate was high. Well, I think the 3.4% is really a false number. This is President Trump. Now, and this is just my hunch, but based on a lot of conversations with a lot of people that do this, because a lot of people have this and it's very mild, they'll get better very rapidly. They don't see a doctor. They don't even call a doctor, Trump said. I think that number is very high. I think that number, personally, I would say the number is way under 1%. And that would make Trump's hunch correct. That's not to say the coronavirus shouldn't be treated seriously, assuming that the 0.66% fatality rate is the most accurate estimate. That's still a lot. That's still higher than the seasonal flu, which has a mortality rate of 0.1%, and the H1N1, swine flu, which had a mortality rate of 0.03%. But yes, he continues. Yes, Peking pulmonary pox. He changes the name of it every time. Peking pulmonary pox is not like the common flu. Yes, there's no vaccine for it, and yes, it's lethal. Yet, even if the experts' current prediction of 100,000 to 200,000 dead are even close to being accurate, is our reaction to it in terms of a medical prophylaxis that brings the world to a halt the right thing to do? Much like after he was elected, when he was beholden to the very people in politics who did all they could to sabotage him for their assistance and advice, he's beholden to people like Fauci and Birx for advice on making the right decisions. And that's not a good place to be in. And this is from Adam Saline in American Greatness. The Chinese virus is a clarifying agent. Among other things, one can see the choice between Republican and progressive government, the rule of the people on the one hand and the rule of experts on the other. President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden perfectly embodied this choice in response to the crisis. Nowhere is this more evident than in the way the two men approached the expert advice of Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and a member of Trump's COVID-19 task force. Trump is adamant that he will listen to and consider what Dr. Fauci has to say, but in the end, as the elected president, will determine the right course of action. For Trump, politics is the overarching art. Immunology and epidemiology are subordinate sciences. Biden promises the opposite, saying, if I'm elected president, I will try to stay awake when I'm doing a podcast. I'm just kidding. When I am elected president, I will always lead the way with science. I will listen to the experts and heed their advice. I will do the opposite of what we're seeing Donald Trump do every day. Now, first of all, Joe, hate to break this to you, Joe Biden, but Donald Trump has been following what the experts say. That's why the country isn't opening up at Easter. Just FYI. This is a choice. This is the choice before us. Are we to be ruled by experts as if they are our guardians simply because they might be smarter than us in specific fields, or are we to rule ourselves? The supposed legitimacy of the former approach comes from fear. We are told the world is too complex. We need the experts to guide us, protect us, and save us. We need an elite guardian class to rule over us because we cannot make it on our own. But this cowardice makes us nothing more than slaves, not citizens. Now, that's a little harsh, but anyway. But, you know, it kind of does. Now, speaking of which, I'm going to continue because this is really good and it's better than anything I could write. So I'm just going to keep going. Again, given all the facts as we know them and guided by our past experience in similar situations and common sense, I'm sticking to my belief that while this Chicom plague is certainly to be taken seriously, we are going to destroy a hell of a lot more lives than those who have and will tragically succumb to it. It's funny, as in hypocritical to the extreme, how leftists who hold life so cheaply, think abortion, euthanasia, are now up in arms about saving just one, even if it means wiping out our economy forever. I say to recall a quote from Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi's hero, Joseph Stalin. The death of one is a tragedy. The death of a million is a statistic. Not in any way do I believe that, but they sure as hell do, to the tune of over 150 million and counting in just over a century, but I digress. What we are sorely lacking, or should I say what the Democrat media complex is ignoring and obfuscating, is context. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases Director Dr. Anthony Fauci said on Sunday that the death toll could reach 200,000. Another model says 82,000 will likely die, with the daily deaths peaking in mid-April at more than 2,000. But by comparison, the last pandemic, the so-called swine flu, claimed 18,000 lives. Over the weekend, President Trump said he's extending the federal government's social distancing guidelines through April. In Virginia, Governor Ralph Northam announced that a stay-at-home order through June 10th. June 10th. April, May, June plus 10. Oh my gosh. School systems are starting to consider whether they'll even be open in the fall. It's unprecedented, to be sure, but the problem with all the numbers being bandied about is they lack any context. On its own, 3,000 fatalities might seem like a tremendously large number, but that's before you learn that an average of 7,700 people die in the U.S. every single day, which means that over the past week, when the coronavirus took 2,000 lives, nearly 54,000 people died from other causes. So that, I mean, putting it in perspective, yes. So what I think too, I get the feeling, because I watched the presser yesterday again, and it seems that now it almost seems like, okay, we're gonna have this number 100 to 2,000 possible deaths, which makes people take it very, very seriously. But is that on the low end or the high end of the estimates that they are actually estimating? Meaning, are they making sure that they making sure that they tell you these types of numbers to get people to take it seriously, so that maybe, just maybe, they'll stay inside and they'll do the precautions and they'll stay away from each other, and then if we end up with a number way lower than that, fantastic, right? But I just don't. It's the whole thing is just hard to fathom. But then again, you say 102, and look, no lives are expendable. Okay, I'm not saying the lives are expendable, but I'm also thinking, okay, 100,000, maybe 200,000 lives compared to 330 million people. In context, it sounds it's a lot, but it's not. But it's, you know, unless it's your grandmother or your grandfather or your cousin or your friend. 100,000 people. That's what? Is it 2,000 people? 2,000 people in every state? Or no? 2,000? Is that right? Like, my brain's not working. Yeah, 210,000 is 50. Yeah, that's, you know, could it be someone near you? I don't know. Anyway, good morning to Cynical Lindsay. I see you're here. Someone else came in when I was ranting there. Check Your Logic. How you doing? Nice to have you here. D.I. Freighter, for anyone who isn't in the U.S. and no MSM will carry the daily press conferences, the White House has a YouTube channel that streams them live. And in fact, that's the channel I use. I use that on purpose. One, because you know you're going to get the entire press conference. CNN and MSNBC seem to cut away periodically in the middle of that press conference, and they're just going to give you the highlight. They're only going to give you what they want you to see. One of the reasons I use the White House YouTube channel and stream it there is because, one, I'm getting the press conference with no commentary, so I can decide what I'm going to listen to. And also, you know what? You get all the questions, you get the entire press conference, and you don't get analysis afterwards trying to convince you of what you just saw. You just see the raw feed, and that is the way it goes. So that's just the way it is. Some things will never change. All right, more headlines. So Trump is right. Chinese coronavirus death rate is much lower than previous estimates, according to a study. Is that the same PJ Media article? Yes, it is. I don't need to go into that one. Washington State. The state of Washington has seen a 20% drop in hospitalizations of patients with Chinese coronavirus-like symptoms. But we should just keep destroying the economy, right? This is good news. And probably because they did a pretty good job in the beginning once they figured it out. State of Washington sees a 20% drop in hospitalizations of patients with coronavirus-like symptoms. And of course, just like every Breitbart story, they repeat the headline in the first paragraph. So I'm going to go to the second paragraph. Hospitalizations for individuals experiencing symptoms related to the coronavirus have been on the rise in Washington for a month, jumping from 61 patients during the week of February 29th and growing to 251 by March 21st. However, as of March 28th, the number dipped down to 193. Now, what's weird about that? Think about this. Now, obviously, New York City has a way bigger problem. But remember when the beginning of this, and they were saying, oh, Washington State is the epicenter for coronavirus in the United States. Let me ask you as part of the chat, or people watching this, is this the first time you've heard the numbers in Washington State? So, for example, again, hospitalizations for individuals experiencing symptoms related to the coronavirus have been on the rise in Washington for a month, jumping from 61 patients during the week of February 29th, growing to 251 by March. However, as of March 28th, the number dipped down to 193. We've shut down the entire state of Washington for 193 patients. Now, granted, it's a very, very communicable disease. It's very contagious. So you don't want people to get it. But now they're down to 193 patients in the entire state, where it was the epicenter the epicenter only because that's where the first case we found, and we had a tragic occurrence in a nursing home that took 29 different people. It's 29 people in one location. The Seattle Times reported the State Department of Health survey covering the 7-day period that ended Saturday tallied 193 admissions of patients with symptoms of fever, cough, and shortness of breath, down from 250. Okay, maybe that's the just the number of admissions. Good morning, WR Costume. The number of admissions. Anyway, this also marks the end of a month-long rise in these admissions. Okay, so there's more than just that many in the hospital. Okay, I read that wrong, so maybe that's what it was. This also marks the end of a month-long rise in these admissions, which dates back to the last week of February when only 61 hospitalizations of COVID-19-like illnesses were counted in Washington State. Husband listening to you this week while laid off. Said I really like this guy. He's a straight shooter. Doesn't try bullshitting. Hey, that's very nice. Thanks, DI. Hello, DI's husband. If you're listening right now, awesome. Good to hear. So while this is a While this is, as DOH spokesman Amy Reynolds said, a little bit of good news, the Seattle Times notes that the survey data does not necessarily provide a full picture, as it does not include reporting from 16% of the state hospital emergency rooms. Some patients who have the disease, but not all the symptoms, may not have been included in that tally, the Times says. Well, also, there may be a lot of people who have the disease who only have mild symptoms and perhaps are not being hospitalized. So it's not that they're not out there. So obviously there can be more. There can be more, and there's still people out there who can be contagious, and that's why you still have to have the order. But that is great that there are fewer admissions than there were in the past. That means their curve, you remember, shorten the curve, lower the curve. Apparently the curve in Seattle or in Washington State has begun to be lowered. Okay, they might be over that hump that you're, seeing in some places where it's been kind of fought back with. So that's cool. That's good to know. At least in one place where we're seeing that flattening of the curve, it's been successful in Washington, and they took action real early. A New York doctor says that he does think the end of the Chinese coronavirus crisis is in sight. This is a Daily Caller article. New York doctor and Fox News contributor Jeanette Nishwat said that the ongoing coronavirus crisis could be about to peak. Taking a brief break from treating New York City hospital patients on Tuesday to speak to Fox News anchor Bill Hemmer on the Bill Hemmer Reports, Nishwat said that this has been her busiest week of coronavirus patients yet. Here she is on her. Here's a clip of her right now. Pop this on here. Let's see if we can get it to come on. And while waiting, Hammer played a clip of Democratic New York Governor Andrew Cuomo describing an apex range of between 7 and 21 days, then asked her what her answer would be. Agreeing, Nishwat said that she's just now starting to feel the influx of coronavirus patients. So it makes sense. It feels right that maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we're going to hit the peak. And I think that's a good thing, because that means after that peak, after we reach that apex, it's going downhill from there, she said, before emphasizing the importance of preparation. Okay, and obviously that is not working here, so I'm going to skip doing the video. What the hell happened there? Let's see if the clip pops up. Here we go. Let's try this clip. Here we go. Too many ads trying to pop up. We're going to skip that one. All right, never mind. Let's see what else we got for headlines. Fauci cautiously offered hope. Rate of increase seems to be dropping off again. That curve that we've been talking about. Let's see. The $20 solution to coronavirus. Anecdotal evidence is a lifesaver. No, not a peppermint. Let's see what this one says. The $20 solution to coronavirus. Anecdotal evidence is a lifesaver. Over the weekend, the Food and Drug Administration. Oh, this is about hydroxychloroquine, and they're starting to. I'll just read it. Over the weekend, the Food and Drug Administration issued an emergency authorization for the use of hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine to treat hospitalized COVID-19 patients. Of course, if you've been here, you already knew that. We talked about that, 2 or 3 days ago? I don't know. Simultaneously, the Department of Health and Human Services announced that Sandoz has donated 30 million doses of hydroxychloroquine and Bayer 1 million doses of chloroquine to the Strategic National Stockpile. According to HHS, these drugs will be distributed and prescribed by doctors to hospitalized teen and adult patients with COVID-19 as appropriate when a clinical trial is not available. Now, what's weird about this? There have been people getting tweets taken down on Twitter and videos on YouTube getting taken down who are talking about this drug as, the granted anecdotal evidence, but even though the FDA has approved its use. Some of you guys who are here, who also watch Hard Bastard, saw that last night. He put out the Laura Ingraham had a tweet that, she was talking to a doctor who said, yeah, it's a patient who had recovered from this COVID-19. And, she had a tweet about it on Twitter, and Twitter made her take it down, locked her out of her account, even though it has been approved by the FDA to treat COVID-19 patients. So, and the nice thing about hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, both are super cheap. Now, obviously, the price is going to probably go up a little bit because the demand, but these companies are giving away. It's easy to make. It can be made at just about anywhere. It's been prescribed for chloroquine, just regular chloroquine has been prescribed for 80 years as a treatment for malaria. Hydroxychloroquine for both malaria and for severe arthritis, also for lupus. And here's how this may have been found out. Oh, Cryptic, I didn't even know you were here. Thank you so much, Cryptic, for the $5 super chat, saying the one and only true God is Allah, because the universe started with an explosion. Cryptic, if I had a corner, I don't even think I'd put you for that. That was quite humorous. Anyway, good morning, Cryptic. How you doing, my brother? All right. What was I saying? The hydroxychloroquine is easy to produce. It's cheap as hell. Used in Nigeria. When I went to Nigeria, I took one of them as an anti-malarial treatment. And also they found this out in China too. Apparently there's a hospital in Wuhan, China, that has a large number of lupus patients. They had a kind of a specialty hospital for lupus patients, and no one in that hospital was getting the coronavirus. And they're trying to figure out, well, what is it about these patients that they don't seem to be getting this virus passed on to them? And then they figured out that, they had all these people on chloroquine. And so that was one reason they were they're starting to figure this out. So anyway, someone at PDawg and tell him that I have a news story a few days ago about lupus. Tell me what date that's from. We'll check that out. So anyway, let's see. They got some. Let's hear. Hang on a second here. All right, let's go back. I want to read a little more of this because there's a lot more information in this one. The effect of the FDA's emergency authorization is unclear. The FDA regulates the manner in which manufacturers of pharmaceuticals may advertise and sell their products. If, after testing and clinical trials, the FDA approves a drug for a particular use, then the manufacturer may market it for that purpose and no other. However, the FDA does not set the standard of care for physicians and does not regulate the practice of medicine. That is why, even before the FDA's emergency authorization, physicians have been free to make off-label, non-FDA approved use of hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine to treat COVID-19 patients. Following clinical trials in China, South Korea, and France that demonstrated the efficacy of treating and likely preventing COVID-19 infections with hydroxychloroquine alone or in combination with azithromycin, President Trump expressed to the media optimism about I'll just say it the way it's HCQ being a potential game changer, hydroxychloroquine, in the fight to defeat the pandemic. But at the same press briefing, Dr. Anthony Fauci seemed to throw cold water on Trump's enthusiasm. In an answer to a reporter's question, Fauci stated that although there was anecdotal evidence that HCQ was effective in treating and preventing COVID-19 infections, controlling clinical trials of the drug were still necessary before any definite conclusions could be reached. Since then, anecdotal evidence has become the mantra of the mainstream media, who in their eagerness to portray Trump as a snake oil salesman offering false hope to a panicked nation, have dismissed the use of HCQ and CQ as unproven, speculative proposition. And you see that in any article about this still. Well, Trump is touting an unproven or with no evidence. Anyway, But to the undoubted dismay of the media and all those who hope the pandemic will destroy Trump's presidency, that pesky anecdotal evidence supporting the use of HCQ and CQ to successfully treat and prevent COVID-19 infections continue to grow at an exponential rate. For example, in a follow-up of its previously reported study recommending the use of HCQ and azithromycin to treat COVID-19 cases, researchers in France and Vietnam, under the leadership of world-renowned infectious disease expert Professor Didier Raoult, the head of the Institut Hospitalo Universitaire Méditerranée Infection in Marseille, have reported on another clinical trial in which the drug combination cured 79 out of 80 patients, noting that the adverse events were rare and minor. The research summarized their findings as following. Now, before I even read that, there's only one small problem. Yes, I know you sent me a lot of emails. Anyway, there is one small problem with the test. Still, even with 79 of 80 patients, if you think of granted, it may have mitigated their symptoms, but if you think there's a death rate of 5 or 1%, less than 1%, 79 of those 80 patients should recover anyway, right? So that's the reason, it's hard to go with anecdotal evidence. But were these severe patients? It doesn't tell you anything. That there's just patients. Thank you again, Cryptic. Another super chat. This is Cryptic's words from reminder. By the way, if you want to do super chats, just throw some in the tip jar if you like what we do. Right down there at PDawgnight.live. It says right there. It's also in the. It's in the chat. It says this show is sponsored by viewers like you. Support the show with your donations and have your super chats read live on the show. You become a permanent part of the show when you throw a couple bucks in the tip jar. Cryptic with the $5 super chat. Thank you again, sir. Quote, women's rights are like the coronavirus. Both ruin civilization after escaping containment. Disavow. Do you want me to read that again? Anyone, ladies, who want me to read that? Boy, women's rights are like the coronavirus. Both ruin civilization after escaping containment. Disavow. All right, moving on. Continue. So the researchers in that study of the 79 to 80 patients summarize their findings as follows. In conclusion, we confirm the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine associated with azithromycin. Sorry, I didn't mean to go Mike Tyson on you there. In the treatment of COVID-19 and its potential effectiveness in the early impairment of contagiousness. Given the urgent therapeutic need to manage this disease with effective and safe drugs, and given the negligible costs of both hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, we believe that other teams should urgently evaluate this therapeutic strategy, both to avoid the spread of the disease and to treat patients before severe, irreversible respiratory complications take hold. And this report was issued. India's Ministry of Health and Family Welfare issued a directive declaring that, quote, whereas the central government is satisfied that the drug hydroxychloroquine is essential to meet the requirement of emergency arising due to pandemic COVID-19 and the public interest, it is necessary and expedient to regulate and restrict the sale and distribution of the drug hydroxychloroquine. So there, based on the findings, India had banned the export of hydroxychloroquine and is recommending that healthcare workers take hydroxychloroquine prophylactically to avoid becoming infected while treating COVID-19 patients. So in India, they're using it as a preventative too. Oh boy, that's so. And similarly, in Belgium and Bahrain are reporting that their hospitals are using it to successfully treat COVID-19 patients. So apparently the anecdotal evidence is piling up at quite the rate. All right, let's go. I want to find here. Let me look up. I'm going to check out Gunfox article on lupus, and I'll see if I can. I don't know how. I know you. There's. I don't. If y'all could see my email box right now, Gunfox is prolific. Let's see if I can find the one on lupus though. Is that the one on briefing? Do you have a date for that one, Gunfox? By the way, I think it's this one. I'm pretty sure. No, academic. Okay, that's the wrong one. Oh my gosh, this was from Gunfox. You're gonna have to give me a day because LOL. Maniac, give it time. Oh, so I'm glad I'm not married. Phew. Oh. Look for Oh China. Oh, that. Let's see. Oh China. It was. Here it is. No, that's Oh CNN. Oh China and more. There we go. Oh, Americans ask why are hundreds of hospitals. Okay. This is one's full of videos. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna spend a day going through emails specifically for this reason, because I have lots of emails. All right, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do it another time. I promise. In fact, tomorrow we'll make tomorrow Gunfox Day. But it's overwhelming. I'm just telling you. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's see, I got about 8 minutes before we move on. Let's see here. Let's see. Hockey sticks changing goalpost. Vaccine. Oh, a vaccine from the 1920s being tested to fight coronavirus. I didn't hear about that one. That's not the article I want. This is the time where I have dead air and I'm just not doing well. Okay. Oh, this one. Here's another one. You know, so in the constant attempt to trash the president, some of the governors, the media say things that are just not completely accurate. And, you know, one of those is Rachel Maddow, which we'll get to because it is Rachel Maddow's birthday. I just got to remind you that. But here's one. Trump destroys Connecticut governor's claim the strategic national stockpile has been emptied. That'll teach you not to check your email. I know. It teaches me to check it more often. I need to, because you give me a lot of great stuff, and I get so caught up in some of my other stuff. Anyway, Ned Lamont, the Democratic governor of Connecticut, claimed on Tuesday that the U.S. strategic national stockpile of medical supplies is now empty and alleged that the state is now on its own in securing ventilators and masks to fight the coronavirus epidemic without the help of the federal government. It was disturbing today to find out that the national strategic stockpile is now empty. We did get 50 ventilators, for which I'm very thankful, Governor Lamont said. For now, we are on our own. For now, we are doing our best to scour the globe for PPE, personal protective equipment, as best we can. This, as it turns out, was not true. President Trump was asked about Lamont's claim during the Coronavirus Task Force press briefing, and he explained what's really happening. It's not emptying. Let me explain what we're doing rather than having it brought into the stockpile where appropriate. We are trying to have supplies sent directly to the states, Trump explained, because we don't want medical supplies coming into a warehouse all over the place, and then we take them from there and bring them to another warehouse. So we're having them brought ideally from the manufacturer directly to the hospital or state where it's going. So all these companies that are have kind of stepped up and said, you know what, hey, we'll make some of these machine supplies, yada, 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 all that, rather than sending them to the federal government where they can be distributed again by the federal government to another warehouse where it can be distributed again to some hospitals. They're just sending the items directly from the manufacturers rather than putting them back in the stockpile. So some of these manufacturers are making the items, stockpiling where they are, where they can send them direct to where they need them. I hope that was that made sense. And here's the president stating this.
Governor of Connecticut today.
About which?
The strategic stockpile. Governor of Connecticut today said that he was disturbed to learn that the stockpile is now empty. That's his words. And he said...
Well, it's not empty. Let me explain something. What we do, and I thought I said it accurately, I certainly meant to, rather than having it brought into the stockpile, where appropriate, other than certain things like we have quite a few of the ventilators, which is not a lot when you look at the whole country, actually. It sounds like a lot, almost 10,000. But we're trying to have supply sent directly to the states because we save a big state. We don't want medical supplies coming in to warehouses all over the place, and then we take them from there and bring them to another warehouse. So we're having it brought from ideally from the manufacturer directly to the hospital or the state where it's going. So we're trying to keep it that way as much as possible. Now, in some cases, we are having it brought. Remember this, we also took over a virtually empty, and I say it again, just like we had no ammunition in the military, and we had virtually no ammunition, well, we had very little in medical supplies, too, in our stockpile.
Okay, so, yeah, he keeps saying that, too, which, I kind of get that, where he wants to keep saying that, and not necessarily blaming the former president. You can't, look, when you become president of the United States, and this goes for Barack Obama, this goes for Donald Trump, George Bush, and everyone before them, the first thing you do when you get to the Oval Office, your first day on the job as president of the United States, you don't walk around, you don't go up to the the Joint Chiefs of Staff or whoever's in the office at the time and say, hey, take me to your storage rooms. I want to see what's in your storage rooms. Usually there's bureaucrats who are supposed to be on top of that, and they're supposed to request the things they need, and then those things get replenished based on the bureaucrat through appropriations through Congress and budgets and all that shit. It's not like the president's saying, okay, I'm going to go check this warehouse. Let me see the storeroom and see how much lettuce you have for the commissary in the Maryland FBI office. I don't think that's what the president's job is. So, but this is one of those things, the natural strategic stockpiles for even like they said, that they were low on certain types of ammunition in the military. Well, someone in the military said, hey, you know what? This is my office, and we're a little bit low on this stuff. Is there a reason we can't get that done? And the president says, okay, yeah, let me see it. Tell us how much you need, and let's see if we can get that in the next bill. Doesn't happen. Well, apparently, whoever's in charge of the stockpiles of respirators probably wasn't anticipating that we'd have a worldwide pandemic that requires hundreds of thousands of respirators. So, it is what it is. But again, this is one of those things where, now look, they did use them. They used a ton during the H1N1 crisis and then during the Ebola crisis. So now, did those get replenished? Do you blame President Obama directly or just someone who was working in that area during his administration? That's their job to ask for it. If they didn't, in the end, it's like it looks bad for Obama, but I can't even blame Obama for that. Again, you're not expecting this scale of a worldwide emergency ever, and you can't ever really necessarily be prepared for something like this. And again, I'm going to say, I don't care who would have been president come December 2019 and January 2020 up until today. I don't believe for a second that the way our system works, the way you have bureaucratic roadblocks everywhere for getting certain types of things done, I don't think there would have been any different result up to this point. Now, what the task force has done a great job of getting, a lot of private industry people have stepped up to make things that we need. And again, this is not I Dream of Genie. You can't just blink your eyes and have something appear. But I think it's pretty amazing how quickly a lot of this has been done in a very different situation. People talk about South Korea and how, well, they did a better job than we did. Well, you got to remember, South Korea is a very, very different country than us. Okay, the reason South Korea was able to do this in a much faster way, one, they were able to allow industries, they had like 20 companies that started working on tests right away. You can't do that here, because here you had the FDA and the CDC had this kind of thing where the CDC had to be the one that came up with tests. They couldn't approve the test that the WHO supposedly had, that they never really offered us anyway. So everything you have to do, you got to go through the CDC and the FDA. And now when they've kind of waived those rules, and now there's companies like Abbott who came up with the 5-minute test, and there's another company that's come up with a 2-minute test, self-test, where they've had to expedite the bureaucratic rules in order to make those happen. Now we have them, and we're testing more people than ever. We're doing 100,000 tests a day now. When we first started, we couldn't do that. So, plus South Korea is the size of Florida and has roughly, 50 million people in the entire country? And in a country the size of Florida, just the logistics alone in our country, our first cases were in Washington State, New York City, California, in a country of 330 million people, versus the entire country is the size of Florida. Very different culturally. Culturally, in South Korea, you already have people who are attuned to being able to do social distancing, so to speak. It's a different type of culture where, and also are they as mobile as we are? We have people going all over the world all the time. And so certain countries where we're traveling, even within our country, we've got people traveling all the time. Air travel and moving from place to place is very common. In places where it's not common. Someone else brought up Vietnam. Okay, well, Vietnam is a communist, basically a dictatorship, so to speak, where they can just tell the people, you know what? Hey, sorry, you're locked down now. You can't do that in the United States. People are too used to their freedoms and liberty, and it's a completely cultural shock for us to do something like this. It is, you're not living in a country like Vietnam where people are, used to living on $350 a year and not moving around all the time. Okay, and it's a very different place. So comparing place to place is really difficult. And it's funny, they always compare us to South Korea, or they said, Vietnam, were places where it hasn't spread as much. Again, it could be due to climate too. But funny how they're not comparing us to Italy. The people who are the haters, the people who want to bitch about Trump, they're not comparing us to Italy or Spain, where per capita we're like the 27th per capita as far as number of cases and the number of and as far as the death rate, we're lower than most countries. Now, the other part, we've now hit the 1 million test mark, which is at least three times more than any other country. Of course, we're going to find more cases. Now, are all the cases severe? Probably not, because most cases aren't severe. But it's still a problem. And don't ever let anyone tell you that when they're talking about this. If you're saying some of these things, or if you say anything, repeat anything I've said here or from some of these articles, it's not that it's not a problem, but it's always has to be in perspective. And that's what's very frustrating about this entire topic. no one seems to be able to put it in perspective. You know, it's the people who want to bitch about Trump. If the numbers, the raw numbers sound worse, they'll use the raw numbers. If the per capita sounds worse, they'll use the per capita. But usually the answer is somewhere in between that. And a lot of times the per capita, if you're going to talk about, and even then, if you use the raw numbers, well, in a country of 350 million people, where we've tested 1 million people, now we're up to 100,000 tests a day. We're going to find more, and that's great if we find more, because then we'll know where they are, we'll know how to treat it, and hopefully some of these therapies that they're testing are effective, and hopefully by the end of into the next season, because this is not going to be, the other part of this is there's not just going to be one season of this. At least that's what they seem to be thinking. They seem to be thinking, even if it dies down over the summer, we're going to see another season of this come fall, possibly. Which means hopefully they'll have some of these vaccines, which they're doing the clinical trials right now on human beings. Hopefully we'll have some of these vaccines that can prevent it. Hopefully we'll have some of these therapies that can mitigate the symptoms and get people back on their feet and rolling in a manner that is makes it so that we can get ourselves moving again. I just hope so. Maddie pointed out in her most recent lockdown video that states are within the Constitution to issue shelter-in-place orders. However, to the individual, it cannot be deemed oppressive. You know, the shelter-in-place orders. Someone in my comments, I got to look at it again. I think it was Cracked, who said, you know, when you're in a national emergency, that's when you can do certain things that you might think are unconstitutional, for like the stay in the what is it called, stay in place order, it's shelter in place orders. I still have a problem with the one where the pastor got arrested. Now some details that I didn't see from that article that we read yesterday about the pastor getting arrested is that they were practicing social distancing within that church, within family units. So family units that already lived together could sit together, but they could not sit within 6 feet or 10 feet or whatever of anyone else that's not in their family home unit. Problem with that is still you're touching surfaces, I know, and you're still doing all this other stuff, but I don't know. Gunfox says the U.S. has about 400 million of that. About 200K to 250,000 has Wuhan flu, and about 4K to 4,500 have died. 1 to 1.5% death rate. Unlike fucking Europe, that is 5 to 10% or more. You know, and here's the other part. You can't really tell what the death rates are, because some, you know, remember, these people, the people who are dying from this, generally have other issues too. In some places, they will attribute the death specifically to that, you know, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and some don't. Some say, well, yeah, the COVID-19 complicated this other issue, which is the issue they died from. So it's even hard to say how accurate different places' numbers are. For example, in Italy, everyone who even has a positive test for this, who has died during this time, is listed as a COVID-19 death. Now, the anecdotal evidence of that is someone who yesterday said that, you know, their aunt in Italy had terminal cancer, also contracted the COVID-19 virus, and on her death certificate, she died from COVID-19, even though she had terminal cancer already. So I don't know. It just depends on how they label each case, each death, how many cases they actually discover, how many cases in some places like South Korea, where they're testing basically almost not randomly, but anything close to symptoms and people who have contact with people with symptoms, versus someplace they're only testing people with symptoms. There could be thousands and thousands of people that they haven't tested who have the virus, have mild symptoms. They haven't tested them because they aren't in a severe case. So we're not going to know the real numbers until more people are tested. We figure out who hasn't been tested. Good point, Sean. People need to stop panicking and sit down and research the info and just, you know what? Do the things they ask you to do for now, and we might have to have a fight with them later. All right, let's get into the Twitter trends today. Today on Twitter trends, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the nonsense stuff. I just want to go in and get the ones that actually have some interesting things in them. So I'm going to blow through some of these, and then some of them I have a couple. There's a couple funny ones that are trending. We'll see if they're still up here. Trending number 1 on Twitter today. You all know what day it is. And I didn't have a good April Fool's joke for you today. And so, sorry, just don't. But April Fool's is trending number 1. Collective agreement to cancel or not cancel April Fool's Day is official. Ha ha ha. What's that one? Which one's the... There we go. It is April Fool's Day, trending number 1 on Twitter. It's never easy being told there's no frozen chicken nuggets left. Sad April Fool's Day for this man. Uh-oh. Check this out. He's a little angry that they ran out of chicken nuggets.
Get me the order right now!
Okay. What the hell?
Get me the order right now!
All right, he's a little stressed. Shan says, "Do not hesitate to attack me, criticize me." So this was only an April Fool's joke. I don't even know what that is. What?
But do not hesitate to attack me, criticize me if I do wrong in my job. It is your duty to your country, as I have my duty to the people to serve.
Okay, I don't know what that means. Cryptic is Cryptic. Is this you, Cryptic? Cryptic No One? Is this my Cryptic? Yes, it is. I need to follow Cryptic now. Okay, if you're single during April Fools, it's simply because your life is the joke. Don't ever forget that. Wow, you should have put that under Wednesday Wisdom, Cryptic. Holy smoke. Let's see. I swear it has a Weishan thing to prank fans on April Fool's Day that they cut their hair, even though it looked pretty obvious to me that was fake. Okay, people get nervous when K-pop people do anything, and so all right. This April Fool's scene from classic SpongeBob never ceases to break me. Man, I forgot. Okay, let's check out the April Fools from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Here you go.
Thanks. Huh?
April Fools!
What did you do to my drink?
I
You what?
You asked for a couple of ice cubes in your drink, and I only put in one! Here you go.
Okay, that's the April Fool's joke of the day. Moving on, trending number 2, census. Make sure you get counted on Census Day 2020. I know some people protest the census. I've never quite understood that, but anyway, today is Census Day. Here's some wisdom from Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's Census Day. Census is like just 10 questions, and it takes like just 10 minutes to complete, but it determines our community's funding and representation for the next 10 years. So fill out the census online, over the phone or by mail, and then go to my 2020 census .gov, and it's hashtag Census Day. Oh, and Tom Hanks has a message for the census. Is Tom Hanks looking good after recovering from... Oh, it's a whole bunch of people. Oh, this is one of those ads. This is one of those things where all these celebrities or whatever they are, if they're pseudo celebrities, come on here and talks about how you should vote. And you know what they really mean? They mean you should vote for Democrats. I'm pretty sure that's what they mean. Okay, so Census Counts, we team up with Add Attention and When We All Vote. When we all vote, here's a description of When We All Vote. We're shaping the promise of our democracy through voter registration and participation. Because when we all vote, we can change the world. Followed by Donna Brazile and Alyssa Milano. Yay! Anyway, let's look at, I want to see this now. Now watch. I bet you this is, let's see what this says.
The 2020 census could be the most important in our lifetime.
You know what's funny? Every time, every election. Now I've been through a lot of elections because I'm kind of old. In fact, I'm going to be older pretty soon. Friday is my birthday show. Remember, why is it every election, every single election? This is going to be the most important election of our lifetime. Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe not. Every election is important. Just go vote and shut the fuck up.
It will decide how over $650 billion are distributed to local communities across the country.
Oh.
That includes where money is distributed for things like healthcare, public schools, and food stamps.
Whoa, public schools? What? What? So public schools... Aren't public schools the state thing? I guess the federal government does send money to public schools for like school lunches and shit like that. But I want the federal government out of our public schools, to be honest with you. I prefer just the local control, the local school boards and stuff like that. And the government just wants their fingers and everything. And every time they give you money, then you got to do something for them. I'm not so, kind of like hose. Anyway.
Safe. Easy, and it's important.
The census affects us all. Taking a few minutes to be counted can help your community for a decade.
So be seen,
be heard, be counted for lasting change.
And
it makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
And be Democrats. Okay, moving on. Enough of the census. Fill out your census form if you're into that. Moving on. Number 3 trending on Twitter today is Wednesday. Oh, that was 3. Census and Census Day are 2 and 3. It's Wednesday Thoughts. Not Wednesday Thoughts, although we might have a Wednesday Thought show up. You never know. Let's see. Oh, Ms. Krasenstein, right at the top. Yes, one of the Krasensteins, or his uglier twin brother, who tweets under one of their wives' names, which is shocking that they have wives because, I'm not going to go there. Ms. Krasenstein says, if 4 American deaths in Benghazi require 11 hours of congressional testimony, then 4,059 deaths due to COVID-19 should mean Trump needs to testify before Congress for 11,000 hours. That's a Wednesday Thought. You know what? You are a moron. There's oh my God. The logic of this guy. Oh, but he tweets again. One has to wonder how many American deaths will ultimately be the result of Fox News lulling the elderly population into a false sense of calm, alluding to the coronavirus as being a Democratic hoax. My guess is tens of thousands, and Fox should pay the price. Yeah, there's kind of a new theme going on Twitter where they want to, they think that Fox should be sued by the world for this. Excuse me, but this is a problem in 203 countries. I don't think Fox News is... anyway, FTG. Dr. Victoria Dooley says, Black people, COVID-19 is hitting us especially hard. If you don't feel right and a doctor or NP blows you off like your case is not that serious, Ask them to write down why they don't feel you need any further treatment and get a second opinion if you can. Oh, well, I am feeling like I'm feeling most affected right now because of that. These are Wednesday thoughts, by the way. Can I have some? Okay, here we go. When you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. Now that is the Wednesday thought of the day. Again, when you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. That's much better. All right, moving on. Holy shit, these people. Wednesday motivation. Scott Storch, trends with T-Pain. Apparently new music is out or something. Scott Storch did this, and people think T-Pain stands a chance. Oh, well, let's see what Scott Storch did. Let's listen to this. Enough of that. I don't know who Scott Storch is, but he plays the piano. Moving on. No April Fool. Oh, no April Fools is trending. No April Fools. Remember, no April Fools. Be an April Jewel. Oh, that's special. Instead of April Fool, give someone you care about a little gift. Nobody needs a prank right now. That's kind of inspirational. I like that. No April Fools. Glenn Greenwald came on the pod. Oh, she wanted some podcast. Please, no April Fool's jokes this year. We've had enough. Good morning, the world is ending, and there's no April Fool's, but at least it's 420 for an entire month. By the way, it is 420 the entire month. Isn't that amazing? I'm not a particular partaker of the 420 movement, but I do understand people's excitement for a full 420. Moving on, Herman Boone is trending. Now, this is kind of funny. ESPN put out something. Let me see if I bookmarked it. I did something with this. Tweets and replies. So ESPN decided that for some reason, they took it down. All right, we're going to show you why Herman Boone is trending. If you're familiar with Herman Boone is the legendary high school football coach that inspired the movie Remember the Titans. The movie was about Herman Boone, right? Well, ESPN had a graphic, who's your greatest of all time? Pick the best fictional coach. And look who they have up at the top here. Herman Boone. Herman Boone. Now, the other ones here, Gordon Bombay, that's for the Mighty Ducks, Coach Klein from The Waterboy, Jackie Moon from Semi-Pro, Patches Hooligan for Dodgeball, which is my number one fictional coach of all time. Although Chubbs Peterson from Happy Gilmore is good. Mr. Miyagi, he's a strong one. Eric Taylor from Friday Night Lights, Morris Buttermaker from the Bad News Bears. Wait a minute, Michael Jordan. Okay, he was sort of a fictional coach, but he played himself in the movie. But the worst one up here is Herman Boone, and I'll tell you why. I'll show you why, in fact. The reason Herman Boone is probably the worst one is because Herman Boone is not a fictional character. Here's a little bit about Herman Boone. In fact, what's amazing about them having Herman Boone on that list is there's an article here from ESPN? Herman Boone, high school coach who inspired Remember the Titan, dies at 84. Alexandria, Virginia. Herman Boone, the Virginia high school football coach who inspired the 2000 film Remember the Titans, has died. It's an ESPN article. They know he's not a fictional coach. And that's probably why they took it down, because they look like idiots. Oh my gosh, does anyone in this world have editors anymore? All right, moving on. Scott Storch, April Fool's, Herman Boone. New month. New month is trending. I don't care. Everyone knows it's a new month. New month, new blessings. Anyway, but even more important, happy 420. It is 420 all month. Happy 420, motherfuckers. I have to get higher than you. Happy 420. Stay young, stay stoned. When you study high and stay high, then you can get high scores. Happy 420. It's 420 all month. It's April 2020. In fact, it's 42020. It's 4 double 20. That's just hilarious. People are excited about 420. All right, moving on. Danny O'Shea. Oh, Uncle Howie. Now, this Uncle Howie, it says it's trending with Major League Baseball. I'm not sure why it's trending with Major League Baseball, but for Uncle Howie, for all of them, take care of one another. My uncle has been hospitalized with COVID-19 and intubated in an effort to save his life. He did not make it. He is the statistic. He is not a statistic. His name was Uncle Howie. A lot of people are replying to this person who's Jamaican me laugh, and it ended up trending on Twitter. And so rest in peace to her Uncle Howie, and anyone you know. I mean, it's a rough disease, but as a country, we're gonna get through this. So we're gonna keep moving on. Danny O'Shea's trending, something in entertainment. Nobody else could have got the production. Oh no, nobody else could have got the production this guy got out of that roster. Danny O'Shea in a landslide, because they were asking, oh, did they change the coaches? They did. Look at that. They added Danny O'Shea from Little Giants. Pick your favorite movie coach. So they got rid of Herman Boone and threw Danny O'Shea in there. Michael Jordan, I still don't understand the Michael Jordan one, even though, granted, it was a fictional team, but he was playing himself. He did exist, but all these others were just fake coaches. Danny O'Shea led a group of misfit kids against his older brother and beat him in the championship. Ultimate underdog comeback story. So there you go, Danny O'Shea. Let's see. Moving on, Tower of God. That's an anime thing. I don't know anything about it. Holy fucking shit, the opening of Tower of God is amazing. Let's fucking go. Okay, I don't. If you're an anime, look up Tower of God. You'll figure it out. Bunny Day. It's Bunny. What the hell is Bunny Day? Well, here. Bunny Day info. Okay, here we go. Here's the info for Bunny Day. Let me read this for you. So, Bunny Day egg hunt tips thread. The event starts at 5 a.m. local time. You must be synced to the internet. There are 6 types of eggs. Water eggs, they look like fish and can be found in either river or sea. Fish shape, size is not an indicator. Stone eggs. Oh, okay. Wait, what now? All right, so these are all the types of eggs. I don't understand what the hell Bunny Day is, though. Use them for do-it-yourself crafting. Okay, if any of you know what Bunny Day is, you can tell me in the chat. Or Wabbit season. Yes, it's Wabbit season. No, it's duck season. Wabbit season. Duck season. Wabbit season. Duck season. All right, Danny O'Shea. That's the coach from the Little Giants. Fox fake news contagion. Oh, here we go. See, this is one of those things that the people who are trying to get they want to sue Fox News. It's hilarious. Fox failed my mother and countless other of its fans. While we can joke all we want about the fair and balanced motto, it's a very low bar to simply give your audience decent health information. This is a New York Times article. These are all, they're so dirty. They are so dirty. Sean Handy says, hey, Kaiser, whoever you are, I'll accept you are a pest, but you are also ignorant, lazy, and a total hypocrite. Are you proud of your paper printing Trump virus? If you are feeling awful, you know who to blame. Trump, Sean Hannity strikes back. Yeah, they're trying to. It's so funny because there was an article in it might have been the Washington Post talking about how red states, their rate of known cases had gone up 13%, while blue states' known cases have gone up 11%. So it proves that Fox News was killing more people in red states. How many people do you think in New York City, which is the absolute epicenter of this certain virus, how many people there do you think are hardcore Fox News viewers or hardcore Republicans in New York City? Just don't think so. Anyway, so that's gonna trend because of the New York Times. Everyone's gonna be retweeting that article. Fantastic. Of course, we should go back and look at some New York Times editorials from the beginning of February when they were saying this can't be that bad, even if Trump says it is. It's the funny thing is, everything that Trump says, the news media wants to say the opposite. So when the Trump did the travel ban from China, okay, the news media said, oh, that's racist, that's xenophobic, that's this and that. When Trump said something about hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine, the news media said, oh, he's a snake oil salesman, that can't be true, this is that. When Donald Trump said there's going to be a hospital ship going to New York City by next week, Rachel Maddow said there's no way that's going to be done, and yada, there's not going to be any hospital ships, that's false hope. When the hospital ship got to New York City, the New York Times says, well, this hospital ship is not equipped to contain coronavirus patients. That's because the hospital ship wasn't being sent there to contain coronavirus cases. It was sent there to take a load off of hospitals, take other patients into the hospital ship so that the hospitals could deal with coronavirus patients. But no matter what Trump says, the media and the left, and I know that's redundant, want to say the opposite no matter what he says. So what you gonna do? So all the usual suspects are retweeting this Fox fake news contagion. So there's the New York Times opinion. There's someone, Kate Swisher, whoever that is. It's just getting it's just getting, oh my God, even this. Now, why? This man, the My Pillow guy, who they're just savaging because he was in the White House press conference telling them that they've repurposed their factory to make face shields. What are the masks, to make masks. And they're going to get their production up to 50,000 a day. And because he's a Trump supporter, because he said something about God at the press conference, people are savaging this guy who's going to make 50,000 masks a day. Or something like that. Was it 50,000 a month? I don't know. 50, whatever. He repurposed his entire production to make masks instead of his pillows. My Pillow. And so they're trashing him every way, which way but Sunday. But guess what? I don't care. I don't care what they say about him. I don't care if someone is doing something to help. Can you have some grace, regardless of your sheer and utter hate that comes out of your mouth and your mind and your Twitter keyboard and whatnot every day? Can you go, hey, I'm not a fan of this guy, but good for him, right? Good for him for making, this effort with his company. Nope, they can't do it. You get memes like this. My Pillow saved the Dow Jones with all new Mother's Day pillow in 1999. I hope that one of the masks that this man produces helps a doctor save your grandmother. How's that sound? And the thing here is Trump and Fox News downplayed the seriousness of coronavirus for weeks. It was a hoax, never said it. The flu, similar to a flu epidemic, not necessarily the flu, overblown, return to work. Nope, didn't do it. The result was many didn't take it seriously, didn't take precautions. All Americans paid the consequences. Really? Really? I have plenty of New York Times articles, Washington Post articles, articles from USA Today, all the other people that downplayed it. And really just whatever move they made, someone downplayed. Nancy Pelosi walking around Chinatown late in February, downplaying it, saying you should just go ahead and go and do this and that. See, now this is, again, here's it is right here. So last year, 37,000 Americans died from the common flu. It averages between 27 and 70,000 per year. What was the date of this? March 9th? Dr. Fauci said the exact same thing. He was paraphrasing Dr. Fauci and putting it in perspective. Oh, good God. My parents believed Fox that the virus was no big deal. You know you have to intervene when your grandma's about to wire $10,000 to a scammer for some bullshit he sold her. Save your grandma if you can. I don't even watch Fox News. I don't care about Fox News, but it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Moving on. Last couple. One locker is trending. Ruby, I once had a crush on someone who didn't know how to handle it, so I filled their locker with heart-shaped confetti. Twice. Really? Someone once pranked me by filling up my locker with heart-shaped confetti? Ruby, fascinating. Ruby, if you excuse me, I have to go water my dog. I don't know why. There's all kinds of lockers, but for various reasons. So who knows? Who cares? Whatever. Moving on. And finally, the last thing trending on Twitter today is census. Let's do a quick check at the hashtag PDK News. And not DPK. What the hell is that? That's not even. Whoa, there is a DPK News hashtag. That'd be the. That'd be North Korea, not me. That's that fake North Korea account. But anyway, PDK News. I don't need North Korea news. All right, let's check the top. We're still on. That's from before. Let's see here. All right, no new ones today. That's all right. Let's. Oh. What does this mean? Can we land yet? No, they're fighting over toilet paper. Yeah, I skipped the memes yesterday, so there you go. When you invade Earth, but you have to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. Thank you, Grillin' Pirate Pete. Oh, Mike Savage, I didn't say hi to you yet. Good morning. Also, hi, D.I. Freighter, and I'm sure I missed a couple people. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to have to be it for today. I'm so glad we had this time together. I'm not going to sing that one today, even though I could. But, hey, thanks for being here. If you like what we do, make sure you hit the thumbs up. There's a whole bunch of you who haven't done that yet. Before you go, hit that thumbs up button, and PDawg, if you're hiding in the lurking mode, you can hit the thumbs down. And we're here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. GMT for those from other parts of the world who use GMT. And please, like I said, hit the like button, hit the share before you go. Share this out on your favorite social media. If you like to support the channel, you can do that through the Streamlabs link in the description down below, or right there, PDawgNight.live has the same little Streamlabs thing up in the corner. And reminder, Friday show, the 300th episode of the Morning Night Live. We're going to celebrate, do a little call-in, we're going to do both. We're going to have some guests and some call-ins. In fact, some of you will be the guest. So if you have a microphone and either a webcam or an avatar, you can use either one. You can pop that on I'll have a link for that. Anyway, and also it's the birthday show, because my birthday is the end of this week. And so it's the birthday, 300 episodes, 600 subscribers special. And we're going to have some fun that day. And if you have Florida man stories, that's what we're going to do on Friday. We're just going to do some funny stories, Florida man stories, news of the weird, basically, but we want it to be Florida man. So thanks, everybody, for being here. I really do need to go now, though. My name is PDawg Night, and I'm out of here. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawg Night, and thank you for watching today on the PDawg Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here.